up, YouTube? I finally got one. I know. Told everybody I wasn't going to get a Metal Skyva. Well, I traded for one. So I traded my checkpoint. No, not my checkpoint. I traded my pivot, just the regular old pivot, for the MagicYoyo Metal Skyva. So, for those of you, we're going to review this, if you hadn't already guessed. Reviewing the Metal MagicYoyo Skyva. So, Metal Skyva is basically everybody on social media begged Jeffrey Pang, oh my god, please make a metal version of the Skyva. We love the Skyva. Make a metal version. Oh my god. And Jeffrey Pang was like, well, I guess if this gets like 100 upvotes, I'll do that. Or I think it was on Reddit or something, or maybe it was like 100 likes or on Facebook or whatever it ended up being. And I guess it ended up like just blowing that out of the water. It got like 300 or like 1,000 upvotes or thumbs ups on Facebook or whatever. Lo and behold, Jeffrey Pang journeyed over to China after coming up with a design to have the first run of these machined and by MagicYoyo and shipped out to the masses. This was a few months ago, maybe a month or two. 2 months, 3 months, something like that. Anyway, this is one of the first run. But let's get into the specs before we do anything else. So, weight of this bad boy is 64.2 grams, which is lighter than the original. The original was right about 66. 64.2 grams. Diameter is 58.08, which is pretty much exactly the same as the OG metal, or the OG plastic Skyva. And the width is 43.38, which is significantly less wide. Not significantly, but a couple millimeters less wide than the original. Gap is 4.5 millimeters. Comes with the same center track bearing. Also comes with luft pads. So I guess these are the pads that go in the Luftwork yo-yos. Designed in Canada by Jeffrey Pang and made in China, like all MagicYoyos are. So these come in at the price tag of $55. So more than like almost three of you could almost buy three of these for what one of these costs. So we're going to be reviewing this with that in mind. Now, that being said, it shares a lot of very similar design elements to the original plastic Skyva. Fingerspin cups are pretty much the same. The shape pretty much the same. Almost identically. I'm sure there's some small, minuscule changes, but nothing to write home about as far as all that's concerned. It really is just an upgraded metal version of the regular Skyva. Now, I don't play my plastic Skyva all that much. I kind of find it boring. I'm not that interested in fingerspins particularly, and don't crucify me in the comments for this, but I don't really find it to be that great at fingerspins. Yeah, the cup is nice if you get it in when you get it in there, but if you miss and get it in that bowl around it, if it's not like if your finger is sweaty at all, which mine pretty much always is, especially in the muggy summer weather here in Pittsburgh, it just skips out. And like I'm not that successful at fingerspinning on this, at least as successful as I ought to be. Maybe once I get them, you can get super long finger spins because it like sits in that groove is perfect for that. But other than that, as far as catching it is concerned, I like other yo-yos for that better. I kind of like to throw it on an angle a little more, and just catch it for a sec. And I'd prefer that. I'd prefer like a shutter or I really like the finger spin on the Gecko, the new Too Sick Gecko. I think that's a great finger spin yo-yo. But sticking with the success of the original Skyva, they stuck with the same finger cup shape design. However, that finger cup design is now machined out of delrin. So while this feels like sticky plastic, this feels like soap, which is much better for finger spins. So huge upgrade in that regard. If you like finger spins and finger spins are your thing, and you want the fingerspin yo-yo to do long finger spins, this is now a great option. As far as how this compares to the pivot, I would say I had a little bit of an easier time finger spinning on the pivot, like just the way it's slanted in to the cup, and instead of having this like sort of bump here. But once you get it in there, equally long finger spin times. I can't say that I noticed much of a difference from one or the other. And you'll notice that I did the thing where I just had it and I walked towards the camera with it while it was spinning in the intro. So, you know, if you like long finger spins, this is just as good as the Pivot series, and I think they're priced about the same. And this is a little different because it's got a delrin cup in there instead of being all machined out of metal or hollow or anything like that. Although this might be hollow. It kind of plays that way a little bit. But as far as performance otherwise is concerned, I actually like this more than I like the Pivot as far as performance was concerned. It's kind of got that like competition HW type shape. It actually kind of really looks like I should have dug it out. The shape is actually very, very similar now that they kind of like made it a little bit less wide. Very, very similar to the SF Yoyo's SF. So really kind of similar in that regard. And I love the SF Yoyo's SF. And this is kind of a similar shape to that. So I actually really like the way this performs a lot better than the Pivot and even the original Skyva. So my problems with the original Skyva were you couldn't, other than finger spins, you couldn't grind this thing at all. Like that's a sticky plastic that just sucks for for grinding. Now, yeah, you can sand it and do all that stuff to it and make it good for grinds, but you know, out of the box, crappy for that. So, was kind of, it always left me wanting more because it was like, okay, I can finger spin. You do two finger spins, stick it back in the box, stick it back in the case, and move on with your life. This actually has all the other performance elements that I like in a yo-yo. There's a great grind finish on it. Your finger spin's great, clearly, and it spins a long time and it's very stable. So. This I didn't feel like spun that long because it's kind of light for a plastic yo-yo at just under 66 grams. This, despite being lighter than the original, spins a lot longer, and I feel like performs a lot better. So I'm kind of pleasantly surprised, I suppose. But let's throw it around a little bit. I'll show you what I'm talking about, and we'll go from there. Alright guys, we are back with the Metal Skyva. So, I totally forgot I'm wearing a Steelers shirt. I wonder if I'm going to get crucified in the comments for that. Anyway, so Metal Skyva, if I'm not talking while throwing it, spins a long time, is super stable. Huge improvement over the plastic one as far as just straight performance is concerned. Performance on this thing is far and away better than that. I mean, it performs like a metal because it's a metal, of course, but I really felt like that was lacking in the old one and really got stepped up on the Metal Skyva. As far as grindability is concerned, great grind finish. Excellent. Let's do some cool grinds here. Yeah. Super cool grind finish. Works great, feels great, is great. The finishes all look really good, though. This is like space gray or whatever, but it's kind of like a dark gray with a black cup, which is really, really cool. So the grind finish is good. There's really no thumb grind lip at all, so you're not going to be thumb grinding at all on this, which is kind of a bummer, because you can kind of, like, there are yo-yos that I can finger spin on and thumb grind on. I've shown that, and I like thumb grind tricks. I think it's cool. I never do them on camera because I'm so, like, not consistent with them. Same thing with finger spins. I'm really not that consistent, but I'm less consistent with thumb grinds. But with this, like, you couldn't, like, there's nothing for your thumb to get. It's all cup for spin. So, not necessarily an all-rounder, definitely kind of just a gimmick with the finger spin. Gimmick's a harsh thing to say, but kind of designed to be the finger spin yo-yo. Like I said, the delrin cup feels soapy. I have a lot more success with this than I do, there we go, the OG Skyva. And I feel like it spins a long time. But the only problem I've ever had with the cup here is that when I catch it here, and I'm not the only person that had this problem. Like, I've seen professionals sort of have it where when you catch it in the bowl, it'll spin around the bowl on the outside for a little bit and kind of kill the spin before you actually lock it in. Now, a lot of that just has to do with me not being great at finger spins because I don't care so much about it, and I don't practice them there very often. But once you get it in, once you lock in a good finger spin, it goes for a long time. So, let's try one more time. One more finger spin. I'm totally going to miss that. All right. Tried for a trick. Didn't work. That's fine. But as far as smoothness and stability, smoothness is concerned, I've played 3 of these. This is the 3rd that I've played. So mine has some fingernail vibe. Not a ton. Maybe 8.5 out of 10 smooth, which is pretty good. But I've played one that's dead smooth, and then I've seen one that's really vibey. So, luckily this one's still pretty good. You don't really feel the vibe on the string. And I lubed it so it's nice and quiet and spins real good, and just, everything's working up to par. And I tuned it a little bit because it was a little worse when I got it. But, it's $55. I mean, I guess it vibes probably about as much as the pivot did, and I feel like all the pivots vibe too. But you can get a dead smooth one because I've touched one. It was the other colorway. It was the silver one. Coincidentally enough, the other space gray one that I touched was the one that vibed the hardest. So, vibe doesn't bother me that much, but there's a little bit on these, and that probably has something to do with just the delrin caps. Maybe just the way they fit in there. But mine fits pretty snug, pretty solid, so it's not bad. It's just a little bit. But needed to point that out, of course. But yeah, grind finish, excellent, love it. So let's go ahead and throw this back on the desk. We'll take it apart. I'll show you what the inside looks like, and do the pros and cons. All right, we are back on the desk with the Metal Skyva. Yes, Metal Skyva. So pop it apart. Now I kind of lubed the bearing seats and stuff. Possibly my vibe might be though that bearing doesn't sit all that tight in the seat. You can pull it out, which I kind of like, for maintenance and such. So not the worst thing ever, but doesn't sit that tight in the seat, and that might be where my little bit of vibe comes from. It is a center track bearing. It says so online, and I imagine they did license the center track name from the Central Bearing Company, which is probably why it's $55 because they had to pay for that. But bearing spin's good. It's got a little step up there to kind of facilitate the horizontal plays, keep things off the wall there. So step up's pretty cool. But it's not too wide of a yo-yo, so it's kind of a really good, comfortable size as far as all that's concerned. Stainless steel axle in there with the hex head, so pretty typical to what you would be used to seeing on throws in this price range. The luff pads are great, by the way. Awesome, excellent response. Not too grippy, but you can kind of they grip when you want them to grip, which is I would say they're at least as good, if not maybe a little bit better than the pads that are like those clear ones, those milky clear ones that I rave over every time somebody puts one in a yo-yo. They're that good, maybe even a little better. So great pads in these, grippy, perfect to when you land your whip. It pulls it back every time. It doesn't slip. That was probably one of my biggest pet peeves about the pivot is that it had a really wide gap. And even if you landed the whip, which I'm not that great at, sometimes it would just slip out of because the pads weren't grippy enough, unless you got a lot of string wrapped in there. So this has grippy enough pads that anytime I landed a whip to return it, I never had a problem. And I could let it spin for a long time and spin out and lose some spin before I even had to get it back because I knew the pads would be grippy enough. So let's do pros and cons, although I've kind of already started that. So pros, pads are good, center track bearing is good, grind finish is good. The delrin is cool. It finger spins good, much better than the original. It basically, they took everything I didn't like about the original and they upgraded it. So everything that I didn't like about the original, kind of that was too light. Well, I mean, this is light, but didn't really spin very long. Wasn't as stable as I had hoped it would be, and just was kind of like the cup was sticky. Like the cup, just because it's like shiny plastic, is sticky. They really kind of, Jeffrey Pang and MagicYoyo really stepped it up with that, because this delrin cup feels like soap. It's not sticky at all. It's pretty humid here today, and I had no problem getting, like, I missed and it rotated around the cup and then got right in. It wasn't sticky at all, didn't inhibit the finger spin or anything like that. So that was great. There was no grind finish on the old one. Grind finish on this one's great. So, like I said, they really stepped up from the old one. Now, cons. So for $55, and like I said, I've seen kind of quality all over the place. So mine's fine with a little bit of vibe, and I don't know what I mean, maybe that happened after, maybe it was perfectly smooth when he bought it and opened the box, but I mean, there doesn't appear to be any damage anywhere. Like, this is, as far as I can tell, this is in pristine condition. So I don't think anything happened to it to create the vibe. I think that's just how it showed up. And I think it has something to do with the bearing seats. So as far as QC on them, I know this was kind of a rush job. So maybe I know I played one that was dead smooth. I've seen one that had a lot of vibe. This one's fine. It's like, 8 out of 10 vibe. At $55, yeah, that price range, you are going to get some throws that have some vibe. And this is one of them, and it's not that surprising just because of how it's constructed out of 2 different materials that it has some vibe, but it does. And, at $55, again, there's a lot of yo-yos in that price range. Maybe they should all be as dead smooth as the one, and maybe if it's, damage or something, maybe it needs to be more durable. It's the thing I'm throwing at the ground. But not that bad. Just, be wary. They're not all 10 out of 10 dead smooth. Case in point. Other cons. We're just going based on the price range here. So, at the end of the day, I know it's designed by Jeffrey Pang and what have you, but it's still a MagicYoyo. Is it a good MagicYoyo? Yeah, but it's a MagicYoyo. Not sure on, necessarily all their QC standards. They do manufacture a ton of yo-yos. MagicYoyos are great. Now, they're great. They're fine. They do great budget metals, but this isn't a budget metal. I mean, at $55, we're talking, right in line with everything else, with your Yo-Yo Factories and your Duncans and all that other stuff. So, is this about as good as those? Yeah, I'd say so, but, and it's a little more interesting than this, but the Fingerspin, I wouldn't necessarily get this to be my only yo-yo. You know what I mean? Like, if fingerspins are your thing, and that's cool, and, you really want one to do that, and to play with those and fingerspin tricks, awesome. Get it. Worthwhile. However, for $55, you could probably get better. You could definitely get better all-arounders. A lot of the Yo-Yo Factories are even cheaper than that, and I feel like they're a little better all-arounders. Like, they can do everything better, except fingerspin, and a lot of them fingerspin just fine. The $55 price range is a hard price range to compete in because of that, and I think this does an okay job doing that, but I traded for it. I didn't pay up front for it, so, leave that as it may. I don't see myself using this a ton. I don't find it super interesting. I mean, it's interesting enough, but I don't find it to be super interesting. I much prefer to pick up my Dang 2 or my Gecko, my two-stick Gecko, and some other stuff that I've been my Throw Cafe Cappuccino, some other stuff that I've been really loving lately. This is cool, and like I said, it just kind of showed up not too long ago, but it's it's just okay. It's not gonna be my favorite thing ever, but definitely a step up from the original. And if this is your thing, if you really love the original, you probably already have one of these, but I think it's pretty good. I'm pleasantly surprised with how much better it is than the original, and for that, good job, Jeffrey Pang and MagicYoyo, because you guys certainly answered the call. But thanks so much for watching, guys. Make sure you like and subscribe. Tell me what you think about your Metal Skyva. Do you have a dead smooth one? Let me know down in the comments. What do you think? I'm sure a ton of you guys have these by now, because I know they already sold out once on Yo-Yo Expert and just got restocked. So, yeah. But let me know down in the comments what you think, guys. Thanks so much for watching. Cheers to you. I'll see you next time.